Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, transforming the way people think and work so their organizations can thrive. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Mike Arnold. Mike is the author of the book Slacking Off, A Successful Way to Work from Home. And he wrote it especially for those who are considering to work or working from home, or anyone who has experienced the same things. He has been a work-from-home entrepreneur for over 15 years and worked with major corporations such as Cox Automotive, Verizon SuperPages, and major commercial finance companies. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Mike Arnold.
Thanks for having me, Ed. Glad to be here.
Well, first off, Mike, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do so that others can be efficient and progress faster than I did. Basically, I like people. I like to see people succeed, and so that's what I really focus on. Is obviously letting people go through their own journey, big part of what I do, but really anything I can do to assist. I mean, I think we all have those people in our lives who've said something or done something very casually and ironically with like a huge impact to help us in one direction or another. That's a lot for me, to be able to do that because I didn't have a lot of those people, so anyway.
Well, your book is about slacking off a successful way to work from home. And certainly we've experienced something over the last 18 months, especially in most white collar work. And that is, well, we've been working at home for the last 18 months. And now you're telling us that we need to come back. And we're all asking the same question, which is, why do we got to come back if we've been doing it for 18 months from home?
Right. Well, I think at the end of the day, most of the reason somebody wants to see you in an office is really so that they can verify that you're doing what you're supposed to do. But I find that to be interesting only because typically in my experience, managing thousands of different employees or being an independent, performer myself, I find that working from home leads to overproduction in a lot of ways. Until it becomes an issue, until someone figures out a way to game the system. And then, of course, that's probably what a lot of employers are looking to do is figure out how, these people who are working from home, how they game the system and, of course, get more production out of them. But I still think we're in a pretty big shift. And I would venture here, and I don't know the numbers specifically, to say that these work from home employees that haven't worked from home before are probably producing more, costing less money, and able to do a lot more unless their job requires them to be in person for things, right? But I think we're really in a good power struggle here on that right at this very moment.
Yeah, because we're starting to see, I'm sure you've heard of the Great Resignation and the folks who are leaving their jobs. And I read one article a couple of weeks ago that said, and some folks are taking on new jobs at less pay, sometimes even 10 to 15% less, where they're guaranteed to work from home as opposed to their current employers who are all telling them, hey, you guys got to come back to the office. Yeah.
I really believe that since, post-COVID, things were really put into perspective for everybody. You shut down a whole world and they wonder why, besides a, problem, a virus. They wonder if there's some other catastrophe that's being avoided. There's all these other thoughts because there's a mystery there, right? So they fill that mystery with information that they think of, and it could be the craziest thing in the world. But ultimately, it's put everything into perspective. What really matters? What's beautiful about this whole thing is money, while it's a big supporting factor for most of us to drive and be better and more successful, and it's the sign that we're successful, has become less important. But then also you have those people that are capitalizing on other people's effort that has occurred too. So you have both sides of the spectrum. And it's really, it's actually worse than maybe what most have seen. In medicine, you have nurse shortages. You don't have almost every state across the whole country. Nurses are being paid 3 to 4 times more than they ever have, and sometimes more than doctors, because they've resigned across the whole country, across the entire United States. for reasons of forced vaccinations, all kinds of things, which is interesting. You don't hear about these sort of things, but a lot of people, that also, like you said, they're leaving to get paid less, because what's crazy, who would have thought that the majority of people have integrity, but they do, right? And that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I mean, it's definitely not amazing. No one likes to go to Starbucks and not see, it filled with workers. No one likes to go to the hospital and they can't get a surgery because there's not enough nurses. But at the end of the day, when you find out that whoever is doing what they're doing is doing it because of their own integrity, I don't know. I mean, that seems like while there's some very bad things occurring, there's also some good things too.
Well, what advice would you have for somebody who has been working from home and is still maybe struggling a little bit with staying focused on that? What are some of your thoughts for improvement in that area?
Well, the first thing I would say, because I wrote the book Slacking Off, A Successful Way to Work from Home, is get my book, read it on Kindle, buy it on Amazon. I would say do that because I created this as a practical book that you could take and pick apart and do any of these things, and it will help you with efficiency. You may look at some things and say, I already know how to do this. Do it anyway, because you'll notice that if you prioritize things in a specific way at least once, or you face things in one way differently than you did another, you'll save time. And I mean, that's really what I'm trying to give anyone looking at, staying working from home, being more efficient. I just want to give people more time. That's it. That's really the only goal. The goal is I want you to have more time. That's all. Because I can give you money. I can make you super successful. I can help you be happier in your relationship with your kids or your wife or your parents or whoever. But if I can give you time, wow, that's pretty amazing. And that's one thing I do promise here in this book is you will get more time. I promise you. And so that's really what efficiency is about. It's about appropriately spending time in the right things. And that's it.
And Mike, we have an exit question that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
I'll tell you. And this may be a little bit of a controversial one because, obviously there's odd connotations that haven't been proven out there. L. Ron Hubbard is actually a hero of mine because I've studied psychology. I've studied every strategy book, business, everything. And what I've come to find is I've never found a more intelligent person in existence other than L. Ron Hubbard. And the amount of dedication and work to help people has been crazy. I mean, this guy's saved millions of people's lives from, the craziest agendas of other people. And, it just constantly amazes me. And I don't say that lightly. So there's a lot of humanitarian effort there that is just blowing my mind. And that's something that I always appreciate. Somebody who's, willing to give up and sacrifice their life almost to help other people, no matter what others might say. And going into the spotlight to do so in today's media environment is kind of proven what happens when somebody really tries to do something heroic. They can be thrown into the fire by the media and the majority. So it's a big deal for me anyway.
And lastly, Mike, how can somebody contact you?
On Facebook, Instagram, Slacking Off, the book. And that's really mostly how you can contact me, or you can reach me at ask@michaelwarnold.com, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts.
All right. We'll put a link to Mike's book in the description of the podcast. Mike Arnold, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thanks, Ed.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.